So, welcome back. Still have this HTML tutorial open, and now we will see how to style a little bit this HTML, because now it looks a little bit ugly. I will not make it look pretty right now. I'll just show you like the basics to make it look at least better, or to change the style of it. For example, there is two ways to change the style of one HTML page, and both ways are using another kind of language, which is CSS. So CSS is CSS on Wikipedia. It is, of course, I have it in French again. English, please. It is cascading style sheets. So it looks a little bit like this. On the right, you can see some CSS code. And there is two ways on an HTML page to write this CSS. The first, and the one that is less used, is to write it in the HTML. So you have to know also that in HTML you can write some attributes inside the tag. For example, in this div, for example, this is my div and like a box, I can write an attribute, for example, this ID. This ID is called an attribute, and this is, for example, my super div ID. And this is the ID of this div. So this is cool, but this ID now we will not use it that much. I'll show you much later how to use it like smartly. But now it's a bit pointless. But you have other attributes, and one attribute to style a div or to style any other tags is simply style. So here I can write a style, and in this style, for example, if I want to change the color of this div, I can just write color, then two dots, and then I can write the color, for example, red. I save, I refresh, and now you can see that this div is red. As simple as that. You have a lot of things with HTML and CSS. Like CSS is a really complicated language, but quite cool. You can do amazing things with it. You can change the color. You can change, for example, if you want to have little space before, you have, for example, this padding left to add some space on the left, and you can write, for example, I don't know, 15 pixels. Save, refresh. See, for example, I have 15 pixels here, and there is a lot of things like this. So I will not go through all of them. The best is to see what you can do on this W3 schools, and you have the CSS tutorials, and here it shows you everything as well. Yeah. Now I want to show you also something else with the CSS, because here I write it on the tag, and this is not really used. Nobody actually almost does that except for really particular reasons, but it's kind of bad and quite long to do it. So for example, we like to have what we call classes, and a class is just like some tag in the, or like attributes in a HTML tag. And this is for example, you will create a class. Okay, I think I'll show you. It's much better. So for example, in the head here, you have also this tag in HTML, which is style, and in this style we'll write our first class. So to write the class, you have to start with dots, and for example, I want to have a class red text like this. Then I open the curly brackets, and then I have to write something inside, for example, color red, as we just saw before. So now I have this class, and this is cool. If I save, refresh, nothing happened. Okay, we will remove this style because it's pointless. Okay, so now nothing happened, nothing is red. But now what I can do, which is quite cool, is for example this div before, I can write the attribute class and say it's like, oh, this one I want to be red text. So here I write red text in the class, and what it will do, it will kind of replace in a way this this style. It will put it here. So now if I refresh, poof, we have our text red again. But now this class, and this is the most powerful things with it, is that I can reuse it as much as I want. For example, this class I can copy paste in this paragraph, for example. Save, refresh, and I have two paragraph red. And if I'm mistaken, like for example, oh, this red, I don't like it much, I want another red, but I still want the same class name. I can click here, and I can change the color. For example, what is the red? Okay, I don't know any other red, but you can write blue this time. And if I save, poof, I have my text blue. So for the color things, you have many ways to write the color. First is by the name, like if I write red, I can have dark red, Indian red, all these other colors. But also I can use hexadecimal colors. For example, I don't know, C, 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 and this is a kind of gray. If I refresh, this text is gray now. And the last one, or two last one, is RGB, and here is red, green, and blue. So for example, here it's a value between 0 and 255. So if I put 32, then it's 54 and 64. And this is kind of, I don't know what color is it. Okay, it looks like black actually. Okay, let's put more. Okay, this looks more green now. Oops, I didn't save, refresh. Now I have this kind of green. And the last one you have is RGBA. So RGBA, and the last value is the alpha. The alpha is the transparency of your text. For example, if you have it totally black, which is 255, 255, 255, I think, yes. And I put transparency, but not really high. Transparency is a number between 0 and 1. So if I put 0.2, for example, I save. We almost don't see it. Wait, I think no, I think I'm mistaken. This is not 255. Black is 0. Yeah, it is 0. So here I have a transparency of 0.2, which is quite much transparent, but I can change it to 0.8, for example, and this text is a little bit transparent. The best way to show it to you is to, for example, okay, like a background color, and now we put RGBA 0, 0, 0, and 0.4. Now I have this background color, and actually it's black, but it's a little bit transparent. I don't know how to make you a simple example to see something under. Okay, for example, I will write my custom div. Okay, this is a new class. I will create a div here with the class equal to my custom div. I will put it like position absolute, So meaning that I will use the coordinate of the page and it will never move. Then I put the top to 0 pixels. Oops. Then the left to 0 pixels. And then I put the maximum size to 100% and the width to 100%. So this is a little bit more complicated class, but it is here. So there is no content, so we don't see it. But now if I put this background color, let's see what happens. Everything is gray. If now I have no transparency, or like if alpha is 1, you can see that my page is totally black. But now I put a little bit of transparency, 0.9. Now you can see that you can see a little bit through this div. And more and more. And 0.2 is just a little bit gray. So this is transparency. So this is actually how we create a CSS style in the HTML. There is also another way, because like you can see that it's a really simple HTML page and it's already almost 100 lines of code. And this is quite much, especially because the style usually takes a lot of space. So what we can do is to take this piece of code and put it in another file and then load it in this page. So let's do it. In the HTML folder here, I'll just make a new file and I will call it style.css. I have this new file and I will just copy paste this in here. Okay. Okay, so now I removed all my style. So here if I refresh, I lost everything. But now what I can do is to, oops, this one's not the right place, it has to be there. Okay. So now what I can do here is to use the tag link, and here by default with Visual Studio Code we have this rel style sheet and then the href, and the href is actually the path to go to this other file. So here, because the two files are in the same folder, I can just write style.css, and what it will do is actually go check in that folder if there is any file with that name, and it will load it, and he knows already that this is CSS because of that. So now if I save, refresh, I have my style back. And now I can write all my classes in this folder, in this file I mean, and have and still have all my HTML only on the other one. So this is how to gain space on one HTML file. With we had like 12 lines for example, and now we have only one. And this is how we do it. This is quite cool. So now there is a lot of classes and CSS is quite difficult to like master. So you can see here on this website you have a CSS page, and you have actually a lot of things. For example, like home introduction will explain you how CSS works and how to make this kind of columns. For example, to change background, to make borders, make border radius, to change the color in white, for example here. You have also these classes that are really cool, like when you hover with your mouse, it changes the color, for example. Sidebar, you have A, and so on and so on. For example, I'll show you quickly these hover things. For example, here we had our classes. Okay, this custom div I will remove because I don't like it. Oh, let's remove it, we don't need it anymore anyway. better. So now let's make that if I hover this paragraph, the background gets, I don't know, red, for example. So let's make a class, red hover, for example. This we want background color red. Simple. We need to put this class into HTML. So it is the second paragraph here, class equal red hover. I save, fresh. Now we have it red. But this is not what we wanted. We want it only when we hover this thing with the mouse. And here is the magic of CSS. We can put two dots and then hover, save, and we refresh. And we lost it. We lost the red things. But now, if I hover with my mouse, poof, it gets red. How cool is that? So this is like simple HTML, but already quite powerful. So I really suggest you to go on this W3 school. You have a lot of things, like for example, you change the text, you can change the color, which so you can have this text align if you want to have it in the center, in the left, in the right. Show you quickly, for example, this if we want to have the text align to the right for some reason, I don't know. If I refresh, up, text is on the right when I hover. Remember, I use this do.hover, so only when I hover, the text goes on the right. Okay, this is stupid CSS class, but you can see how it works. And there is a lot of them. There is also some CSS that you can even animate. So this is more difficult already. You can try it on have this code. You can just copy paste, for example. Like here you can see this time. You can just copy paste this code and it will work exactly the same way. See here, it's just one HTML. So we saw that with CSS we can make classes, but actually there is another thing that can be useful for if you, for example, wanted to have okay, we have this red text, for example, class in here and in here, but you wanted to only select to only apply these to this ID, for example. So you can do this way. You can use this ID, and before you have to put the h tag. And this one you say, for example, I don't know, background color, I want it blue. And now there is a conflict, because, for actually two reasons. Like I am using this red text, so this class will be put with the background color that is already set with FGBA, blah blah blah. And I have this ID with my super ID, which I said the background is blue. So which one will win? Per flash, it's the blue. But why? And this is simply because the blue, like when the HTML page reads the CSS, it reads in the order. So the last class or like CSS you wrote is always overwriting the other. So if I had this my super div on top, okay, maybe I said something wrong, because now I have, okay, yeah, this is because this is an ID. If it was a class, it would have been like this, but this is an ID, and the class for an ID is always better than the class. Yeah, I'm using wrong words here, but you get me. Like these things is better because it is pointing an ID and not a class. So to remember, more or less, like we just need to know that this h tag is for element and this dot is for class. So that's pretty much it for this little CSS tutorial, and we'll see next time how to make something better, like how to use a framework that will make all the CSS for you without doing anything. You will just have to learn a few more things about how to make your HTML correct and put the right classes at the right places to have like a pretty design. I'll show you a quick cliffhanger, and we will use one of the most well-known CSS how to say, yeah, most popular PHP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework. So we will just use these things, this website, and you can have like really pretty CSS all done already by itself. You don't need to do anything. For example, this component will have like some icons. We can have some drop downs like this, like pretty ones. These kind of buttons also. These kind of drop downs that are very cool. Input box. We can use these things that looks much better than what we had before. For example, if we check this and check this, okay, we know which one is better. So we'll see in the next video how to use this. So see you.